Mia had served him coffee every morning for years. A quiet man, hunched in the same booth, always polite but distant. Yet no one else seemed to notice him. Today, though, everything would change. Lawyers stormed in with 4 bodyguards, and the old man she had quietly cared for all this time revealed a secret that stunned the entire diner. The diner smelled like freshly brewed coffee and buttered toast, a comforting aroma that wrapped around the small town of Clearwater like a warm blanket. Rain tapped softly against the windows, a gentle percussion that filled the quiet gaps between the chatter of regulars. Mia moved gracefully between tables, balancing trays stacked with plates of eggs, bacon, and pancakes. Her blue uniform was slightly faded, and her shoes were scuffed from long shifts, but her smile was genuine, bright enough to light up the dim interior. Every step she took, she made sure to notice the details others overlooked. A napkin slightly askew, a cup half empty, a lonely glance from a newcomer. Mr. Harris had been part of her mornings from the very beginning. He arrived at the diner like clockwork. Exactly at 8:10, his gray overcoat buttoned neatly, brown hat perched just so on his head. He never varied his routine. Black coffee, 2 slices of toast, scrambled eggs. He always sat by the window in the same booth, watching the rain slide down the glass in delicate streams. His hands trembled slightly when he held his cup, and sometimes he would stare out for minutes, lost in a world that seemed distant and unreachable. Mia had noticed this from her first week. While other waitresses simply took his order and moved on, she lingered. She asked how he was, made sure his toast was warm, and once slipped him a small piece of pie on the house. Over the weeks, Mia's curiosity grew alongside her compassion. She learned small details. Mr. Harris once taught school in the town. He lived alone in a modest house just outside Clearwater, and he had lost his wife years ago. His children had moved far away, and though he rarely spoke of them, Mia sensed a quiet ache in his silence. There was a dignity in the way he carried himself, an unspoken history written in the lines on his face, and the way his eyes lingered on the rain. Every day, she felt her bond with him deepen, a small thread of connection forming through acts of care and attentiveness. Yet, for all his quiet presence, there was a hint of mystery. Mia noticed papers on the table, sometimes legal documents, sometimes letters she couldn't read. Occasionally, he would whisper into a phone, his voice low and careful. Other customers had long ago decided he was just an old man with a routine, uninteresting and unremarkable. But Mia's instincts told her there was more beneath the surface. Small gestures, the way he cradled his coffee, the way his gaze lingered on certain words in the newspaper, hinted at a life far richer and more complex than anyone imagined. One rainy morning, Mia set a steaming cup of coffee in front of him, as usual. The bell above the diner door jingled, and her routine smile faltered for a moment. A group of men in sharp suits and sunglasses entered, their footsteps heavy, echoing against the tile floor. For bodyguards followed close behind, scanning the room with an intensity that drew every eye. Whispers rose from the other customers. Tension thickened the air like smoke. Mia's heart raced. She glanced at Mr. Harris. He sat calmly, his hands folded neatly in front of him, eyes fixed on the approaching group as if he'd expected them all along. The lawyers reached his booth and exchanged quiet words. Mr. Harris nodded once, then looked at Mia, his expression soft but serious. She felt her chest tighten. What was happening? What secret had he been keeping all these years? One of the lawyers cleared his throat and spoke, his voice firm yet polite. Mia could hardly hear the words over her own heartbeat, but the meaning was unmistakable. The quiet man she had served coffee to, the one who never demanded attention, the one who had seemed ordinary in every possible way, was far from it. The revelation hit like a wave. Mr. Harris was a billionaire who had chosen to live under the radar, a life of anonymity by design. He had come to the diner to witness the kindness of strangers without the influence of wealth or status. His lawyers and bodyguards were part of the preparations for a sudden legal matter, something urgent in the world of finance and property, a life far removed from the small town he inhabited in spirit only. Mia's jaw dropped. She blinked, tried to absorb the enormity of what she had just learned. The man she had quietly cared for every morning was not just anyone. He was someone extraordinary, someone whose heart had remained humble despite immense power. Tears welled up in Mia's eyes, not from envy but from awe and gratitude. She had never known why she felt such a deep need to care for him, why those small acts of kindness, the extra piece of pie, the attentive refills, the careful attention to detail, had felt so important. Now she understood. Every gesture, every smile, every moment of empathy had mattered. It had been noticed, appreciated, and in ways she could never have imagined, it had revealed the very essence of who Mr. Harris truly was. The diner itself seemed to pause. Even the rain outside softened, as if respecting the gravity of the moment. Mia stepped closer, unsure whether she should reach out or remain at her station. Mr. Harris offered her a quiet smile, his eyes warm and sincere. He thanked her for her unwavering kindness, for seeing him when no one else did. In that instant, Mia understood something fundamental. The impact of human connection, the quiet power of noticing and caring, the way small gestures can ripple into profound moments of revelation. The bodyguards and lawyers stood respectfully aside, their presence a stark contrast to the simple, heartfelt scene unfolding at the booth. Customers whispered among themselves, trying to reconcile the ordinary old man they had seen every day with the extraordinary truth revealed before them. Mia, however, remained focused entirely on him. The coffee, the toast, the tiny rituals they had shared. None of it felt small anymore. Everything had led to this moment of truth, of acknowledgement, of unspoken understanding. After the initial shock passed, Mr. Harris insisted Mia sit with him. He offered her a gift, not a flashy token, not a sum of money that would dazzle, but something more personal, more profound. It was an opportunity, a chance to use her natural compassion to help others, a testament to the power of consistent kindness.